Just be the best you can be, you and your people. You ain't hurting nobody, you ain't stopping nobody, you ain't standing in nobody's way, and everybody trying to stop you. You know what I'm saying? People won't let you be great. You know what I'm saying? You like, I'm a mutant. I'm with my mutant people, trying to live it up, trying to be great. And will they let you do anything? Will they let you do anything? Nah. They ain't gonna let you do nothing. They ain't gonna let you live your life. They ain't gonna let you be free. So that's what we're talking about tonight on Late Night Live, Late Ill Kid at OneYoungsta, holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people? Today or year, coming with another wonderful episode of Talk Shop. We're here to get into Dawn of X Part 2. If you were with Dawn of X Part 1, what did we talk about? We talked about all 6. We talked about X-Men, Marauders, New Mutants, Excalibur, Fallen Angels, and X-Force. So we talked about all those. And in that discussion, I talked about how basically, I'm only going to follow 4 titles because at that time, Excalibur wasn't really doing it for me. I did love the kind of the characterization of Apocalypse on that joint, but as a whole, Excalibur, I just wasn't kicking it. I wasn't really interested in how they were handling everything else around, Apocalypse, Captain Britain and stuff. I was like, whatever. And then the art style wasn't really throwing me over. I thought it was cool in some places, but it wasn't throwing me over. And then New Mutants, I wasn't into the wacky hijinks of the youngsters. I liked the team, but I didn't like the story they were in. And I was like, with so much to read, especially when it comes to indie stuff that I got to get into as well. Big shouts to Comic Republic, big shouts to 133 Art, big shouts to, Evolutionary Publishing and, Keith and Jones and all that, Kid Comics. There's so much great stuff out there, outside of Marvel and DC that I have to get to that, I can't just be continuing on the road down New Mutants. So I decided to stick with X-Men, X-Force, Marauders, because I really enjoyed that one, and Fallen Angels, which was on the line, but, we'll see how it goes. So before we get started, big shout out to, of course, Geek Fine Art, the artist sponsored wall right behind me. Much love to him. Check him out on Instagram, Geek Fine Art. My question to you is, how are you feeling so far with the new, I guess, kind of storyline, the path, the geopolitical placement of X-Men, all of that? How are you feeling, about their placement, about what's going on? And how are you feeling about the books in general? Because I don't know if you've been on Twitter lately, but Rob Liefeld, or is it Liefeld? Liefeld. I think it's Liefeld. Anyway, ain't trying to mess up his name. But Rob has let it be known that he's not too pleased with the current X-Men. Now, of course, you can take that with a grain of salt, depending on how you feel about Rob, but he ain't feeling it. Big shout out to Ernest Petit. I hope that's pronouncing your name right. Feel the same about New Mutants and Excalibur. Yeah, I'm not following those. I'm not. It's not for me. I know there's some people out there that are digging it. I really loved how they characterized Apocalypse, but they weren't doing nothing for me with the rest of the book. I think if they would have positioned Apocalypse more in the forefront and gave me more of that, that sneak diss that Apocalypse would be doing, I'd have been down. But it's just not working. But like we did before, I want to get started with the number 2s, which first starts with X-Men. What I like about here is, of course, the art style here is right up my alley. I like how they come through and you got Cable and Rachel and Todd, they're just chilling. It's almost like they ain't got nothing else to do. They're just kicking it. He's like, yo, island is moving weird. You want to go down there and kick it with me? And they're like, sure, we ain't got nothing else to do. The coolest thing here is when they land is seeing their kind of different approaches to to a outside or external or unknown threat, especially how Cable handles it, and also still enjoying still enjoying hmm, how Papa Cyclops is. Once again, I'll have to say I love the fact that he is. He seems so comfortable now. He seems like this is where I wanna be. So so I'm happy for him. But seeing them kind of like getting through the woods and all that, and their banter between each other really shows a interesting family dynamic that I think we haven't really gotten a chance to see like this, especially in the context of the world that they're in now, where mutants have their own. They're doing for themselves. They ain't worrying about the man. They ain't interested in it. But I also like how we got into some very weird stuff here. Like there's like a one-eyed rhino or something, and there's a big old squid thing that swallows it up whole, and it's a weird island. And of course, the fact that they know that it's moving towards Krakoa changes things. Of course, they really want to know what's going down. But I love how they see that thing eat that rhino or whatever, and they're like, just fire. Like they don't ask no questions. They're just like, it looks weird. It's crazy. Fire. Um, and like the way they break that down, their thought process, how they handle um, threats in general is just funny. But another thing that I like about this issue is opening up the lore of, was it Araco? I'll fix the name, clear it up later when I get down. But I think it's Araco, where we see the summoner come from. That looks, he's like all pale, but he has like the paint on his chest, and he shows that he's like a third level summoner or whatever, or what is it, a high summoner. So he can summon all kinds of stuff, and we see the level of power he's rolling with, even with taking a full direct blast from a gift from Cable was funny to me. Like how Cable was like, even after they could speak the same language, Cable was like, yeah, I do some dumb stuff sometimes. My bad. I know I be doing stupid but to see the very important piece of this issue, I think, is later on when, he summons the demons and all that, and all that's cool, and they're fighting and all that. But when the islands meet and we see Apocalypse kind of like a gorilla in the mist. The second, Araco, I think, and Krakoa connect and become like one island, which I think will change things tremendously in the coming issues and maybe the next years or whatever, because I don't know how long Marvel is going to follow this. Hopefully they follow it for a while. Even though I'm not sure what the governmental response, at least from the US, will be, because we know, of course, the Avengers and we know the Fantastic Four. We know how they get down, and we've actually seen kind of a slight in, House of X, I believe, or Powers of X. We've seen kind of the slight friction between them two. But I like seeing, the High Summoner walking away, and then Apocalypse coming out the blue. And, he's like, yo, I don't know you, or we don't mate, but I know kind of where you're from. I know your people. Because remember, he fought in the war way back, if, House of X, if you read, or House of Powers of X, you read that, both of those storylines, you saw the flashback where he was way, way, way back with that island where they fought, where they were first broken apart. And now they've come back together. And the implications of what that could mean could change and rock the foundation of how Krakoa works. But I love the fact that, the summoner kind of kneels to him. And he's like, he calls him his child, and you're a son of one of my children. He says he's son of war. And this opens up a doorway because when I correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think when we met Apocalypse in the House and Power stories, I don't think he had Horsemen at that time. Or maybe he did and it was just never spoken about. But this could lead on to like some secret Horseman kind of stuff, and who knows. But with that said, I have gotten, out of any of the issues that we've read, I haven't gotten the idea that Apocalypse is out there to do anything shady. Sinister is a whole nother story. But Apocalypse doesn't strike me as he strikes me as someone who's kind of content with how things are. He's like, yo, I'm cool being here with all my people. I'm glad y'all finally decided to do this. But I love how Apocalypse is drawn here. And just his face, the lines, the gruffness, and how he kind of embraces this summoner and what this is going to do. I really want to see what this is going to do, where it's going to take us, because I'm on board for this. I'm on board for some, backdoor dealings kind of stuff. I'm in for that. So X-Men 2, I was digging, man. I was up for it. We got the silliness with Cable and doing dumb stuff. And then we got some dope stuff with the conversation of, I believe, Arakko. Am I messing it up? Yeah, Arakko. That's it. So where that might lead us, I'm excited about that. But let's talk about Marauders, yo. Man. I stuck on this book for the right reasons. It's not like this book is incredible. Like let me be for real. It's nothing that's really blowing me away about this book. What I love about this book is Emma and Sebastian. That's what I love about this book. Seeing them hate each other. Big shout out to Ernest Petit. Says, I feel like Cable and Rachel should be embarrassed to see their dad in these tights, though. I would be. You know what? I see where you're coming from, but Cyclops still look good. You know what I'm saying? He good with his. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I had Cyclops' body, I'd rock tights. I ain't going front. If my chest was like, how? You know what I'm saying? He got, and he has that like muscle between your shoulder and your neck where, it got like a hump right here. So, I mean, Cyclops, normally, like if you had like, like that dad on, back in your old neighborhood, that dad that would be cutting the grass outside with no shirt on, no good and well, he shouldn't have no shirt on. Now, if that dude was wearing tights, then I'd be like, yo, stop it, okay? Stop it. But I'm not mad. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, dad is still out there getting them. You know what I'm saying? He got Jean back at the crib. I don't know what's going on with Jean and him and Logan having to conjoin rooms. I don't ask no questions. I ain't judging. If you want to get your free love, get your free love. But I'm not mad. He's keeping it tight, got swole. You know what I'm saying? You know what? I'll let Cyclops live. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let him live. But Marauders, we finally get to figure out who the Red Queen is. We knew it in issue number 1, where it's like, oh, they're gonna make Kitty or Kate now the Red Queen. So we knew that. Emma isn't the most altruistic out there, and I don't know if Kate really wants to be involved with Emma like this. Now, Emma does have a wide berth. Like, she's like, yo, I'm still pro-mutant. I don't mess with the humans like that. But inside of that wide berth, there is some very interesting play there. And we all know Emma is shady, but seeing her shadiness and Sebastian's shadiness combine and them fight, I love that. That's what made this issue for me. Because outside of the issue, you have a couple of situations where they're kind of like getting the shipment back from Sebastian that he was trying to, kind of like double deal and get extra money back. So I wasn't really too hyped on that. What I am hyped on is these communications from the U.S. Navy about how they're going to move around and against mutant ships. I want to see, because what makes this story so interesting and unique is the world governments at large in response to. I think that's what makes this so unique. We haven't really seen anything exactly like this before, so I really want to see how it plays out. Also, the Cuckoos talking to their mom, sort of. That was interesting in how they played it, and how they agreed/disagreed with her. But when it comes to, like, say, the fight scenes and stuff like that, I thought they could have stepped their game up. Batroc, it was really taking Iceman and Storm to town, and I was not pleased with that. I'm like, yo, as much fighting as they've done, I figure like they could have like really handled. I mean, I know he's got skills, but I'm like, Pyro, I expect him to get knocked out. You know what I'm saying? Pyro has never been known to be a fighter, but Storm and Iceman have been through some ish. You know what I'm saying? So also the thing where Kate was like dancing with the dude, she's like, let me lead. I thought that was kind of corny. So I wasn't really super excited about that. But what took the lead here was fighting back and forth between Emma and Sebastian. Also, that small little piece with Bishop in Taipei and what that means with these governments that I think are staging attacks on their own to kind of turn the tide against mutants. So I'm definitely interested to see where that goes and where Bishop ends up. I did want to make a comment about Storm's complexion in this issue. It seems like they've browned her back up like she should have been, because remember in issue 1, she was she was almost like a white girl in the issue. Like some of the ways like they colored her during Sundown, which was like, even during Sundown, black skin don't do that. Like you turned her into some cream colored, but in here it does seem like her skin tones are more consistent. So hopefully, that was just a rush error or something, whatever, or a mess up, somebody trying to be cool with the colors. I don't know, but stop it. You know what I'm saying? Storm is black. She's visibly black. And honestly, I'd like to see her with a different hairstyle, even though I know they're not going to do that. But we'll see how they play that out in the future. And how they work around her in lighting in the future. Because this shouldn't be an issue anymore. It shouldn't be an issue like that. With that said, the whole thing with Kate being... Let me ask you this. What do you think about Kate and her kind of like more brash attitude and outlook on life? I think in an effort to make her look older, they've made her like, oh, look, she swigs a whole bottle of alcohol now. And, like she's changed. She's the Red Queen now. And it's like, I don't think you need to do that. But I mean, if she's going to do that, fine. But I think that they're doing that to show her edginess, and that's not really necessary. I think she's cool enough on her own to not need that. And also the knuckle tattoos, I was just like, I kind of rolled my eyes at that, but I'm like, I know she got to be, I know whatever. You know what I'm saying? Look, I ain't gonna stop your flow. Pyro's tattoo was stupid, but you kind of expect that. Lastly, on this, since we knew she was going to be the Red Queen, I'll just say that new ship they got, it's kind of fresh. It's kind of fresh, and I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. I'm definitely feeling, the new ship and what it looks like. Ernest says it's like when child stars grow up and feel the need to wild out. Yeah, that's how it came off to me. But on to my favorite issue of this group of the number 2s, X-Force. Here's why. We found out in the last X-Force issue that of course, unfortunately, Professor X was shot. He was assassinated, but the way in which it was done is what gets very interesting in this issue. Right now, this might be my favorite book out of, it's tough. X-Men and X-Force are running right beside each other right now. This might have the edge because there's so much intrigue around how they broke in, about who it was that killed them, what they're doing to make these kind of like synthetic supermen kind of beings, all kinds of stuff that I thought was like really interesting in this issue. There's a lot of conspiracy in this issue. There's a lot of there's just a lot of open threads for backdoor dealings that are going on, showing that like the communication from Domino and how it like kind of like she went dark and those people might have laid a trap for her. Very cool, and I love how this was played out. Also, I dig the art in here. I dig how Magneto was kind of pulling his helmet together and showed the hole from the bullet. I thought that was cool. But I also like the two separate missions. We have Beast and Jean, which is pretty cool to see them work together, where Jean is like, we got to work on faith. And Beast is like, I've never been really a man of faith. I've been a man of science all my, like, can we do it or can we not? And seeing them work so hard to get Cerebro back online in one of the cradles is just a very interesting situation, especially when they know they're up against the clock of people knowing whether or not Professor X is dead. Because if the world at large, even the mutants that haven't made it to Krakoa at large, knows that Professor X was able to be killed, then that changes the game. It puts fear inside of the people, and it ends up being not a good situation. And I know why they have to rush, and them using their ingenuity and intellect inside of that is just something that's fascinating, especially juxtaposed against Wolverine and Kid Omega's kind of mission. Even though it's not really his mission, Wolverine just went off. He's like, look, I told y'all we was getting soft, we was out here, and now we got to do what we got to do. We got to go kill. And I also like how they have like these little dossiers in the issue where it showed the assassination query, where we got like account of the lost, technological and biological retrieval, geographic and monetary origins, preventative measures, like things like that show like, oh, this is like a society, a government that's starting to work on its own, because of course they're still brand new. They got the Silent Council, but they're still, they're still forming how they handle and gather intelligence, and I thought that was really dope. Now, big shout out to, what is it, Dr. Monroe? Is it Dr. Monroe? Who's the not Dr. Monroe, Dr. Reyes. Because we also get that autopsy kind of thing too, where they're finding out how their ears are made, just some weird stuff. But the Kid Omega part is something that I didn't see coming. Well, I mean, I guess the cover, but I didn't see him and Wolverine, because you know how sometimes they'll show two people in a cover together and then in the issue they're really not working together. But here, I like how not only is Kid Omega like definitely on some Magneto-ish, but he's already ahead of Wolverine and kind of making fun of Wolverine, for his technological ineptitude, maybe. But then the tables turn when they don't have powers, and Wolverine's like, you got feet, you got teeth, you got arms, right? You got, fingers, you better fight. You better put them dukes up. I love that. I love how Wolverine, with or without powers, is willing to throw down to the last man. You know what I'm saying? I think that really works in this issue. And what I think is we get a perfect balance of intrigue and action and conspiracy in this issue that I think works extremely well. this might be the most, I think this is probably the most fire book of the number twos. And X-Men is right behind it, especially with the intrigue of Krakoa and just like how that bonding is going to change things. The High Summoner, War, Apocalypse, but X-Force is probably the heat right now, man. X-Force, I really want to know what's going on with these secret societies, how they knew the X-Men were coming. Do they have mutants working for them? Just tons of stuff. But seeing the kind of the length that humans are going to stop the mutants is crazy, because they go into this lab and it's like dumb, like decked out with all kinds of weird bodies, and it's just weird. And then seeing Jean trying to read the minds and like look like ghosts and stuff was there. It was just weird. So seeing these bodies and how they were constructed, and seeing Kid Omega talk about how this lab is like a chapel devoted to their insecurity. It's an interesting statement. It's a poignant statement, but I do believe what Wolverine says in, like, that's very Magneto-ish of you. And like, kind of like, don't go too far, kid, because Kid Omega definitely has some dope powers, but you see how he got shut down in this joint mad quick. And like, dude was, I hate to say this, but almost useless. Like, like when he didn't have his powers, like dude was just sitting there looking weak. He was like, looking for his psychic shotgun and stuff to work, and nothing was working. And I don't know exactly how Kid Omega's powers work, but with him, would there be a psionic dampener? Like, dude was just scared, and he was just fraught with danger. And he looked like he was lost. And that's not the type of person you need on your team. It's kind of like that situation with Homecoming, where he was like, look, like the suit shouldn't make you. Like, you should make the suit. Like, you should be Spider-Man just as dope with a hoodie on as you are with the Stark tech. If you're not, then you're relying too much on the suit. And not saying that you shouldn't enjoy your powers. Indulge in your powers and use your powers when necessary. But that don't mean that you ain't got to do a couple, you gotta take some karate classes or something, man. Learn some Taebo. So I don't know. I'm sure Krakoa has all kinds of classes for self-defense. All right, and you're not taking them. All right, man. You're bony. You're underweight. You ain't got no muscles, and you're walking around like you're the smartest person in the room. All right, you need to step the game up. Just step it up. Just step it up. So, with Wolverine realizing that they had to be looking for something or protecting something there, we finally find Domino, which I wanted to talk about being extremely smart for the invasion technique. Knowing that Krakoa will not allow anyone but a mutant inside of its dome or airspace or whatever, taking skin grafts from her and putting it onto the synthetic humans or whatever was ingenious. But it also lets us know that we're dealing with a very sophisticated enemy outside of the Hydra, AIM, whatever group that's doing the mother mold in space. You know what I'm saying? This is a group whose sophistication level is on like 9,000. But yeah, I love how they ended up the issue. I'm glad that we found Domino. I'm glad she's not dead, but it was hard to look at her body, the way they had like cut her skin off and stuff. It was tough to look at that. So lastly, I'll talk about The one, the only Fallen Angels. Um, this is a book that I'm not going to follow anymore. And I remember last time when I was like, 4 out of 6 ain't bad. Well, now I'm going down to 3 out of 6. Fallen Angels just does not work for me. I'm not interested like I thought I would be, and I should be. A story with Laura and Psylocke, the X-23 and Psylocke alone should be dope. I've never been I like the characterization of Cable and X-Men as opposed to here, but I think this story would be a much better and more streamlined story with just Psylocke and X-23, and it's just not grabbing me. It's just not pulling me in. And honestly, like I said in the first issue, strangely, the cover art works for me, but when you get to the interiors, it's just the models are wildly inconsistent. And I just don't care about APOC like I thought I would. You know what I'm saying? And I honestly don't care about Psylocke and X-23 as much as I think I should in a story like this. I think the story would be doper if we got rid of Cable, and just let it be those two, in a kind of teacher-student relationship where basically Psylocke has to kind of impart the wisdom that she was imparted to her when she was coming up to be able to deal with like her demons, her anger, her rage, all of that, and how to mold it into something positive, and also to be able to live a normalish life. But here we open up with like an assassination. I'm not really interested in it. She lets the lady go that's pregnant. I'm not really interested in it. Nothing really grabs me. Seeing Dazzler in here didn't really grab me. I think you take Cable out of this and have it be X-23 Psylocke dealing with Sinister on some sneaky stuff. I think it's a much better book. And the art just, it's wildly inconsistent. Like when you see Psylocke on one page to another, it's like, yo, dude, this ain't even the same person. And it's weird because APOC is a villain that I think I could get behind, something that I think that's mysterious enough, that is powerful enough, and also elusive enough to be cool. But it's just not working for me. Big shout out to Ernest Petit said, I think this story would be better focusing on what it's like to be an outsider within this group of people who have been outsiders but now have their own society. Psylocke is good for that, not Cable. Cable just doesn't seem to fit with this group. And I don't know. It's not that I hate the book, but I'm just like, it's not working for me. It's just not. And Cable in this sense, it's just, I don't know. It just seems out of place, right? You know what I'm saying? But I do like what you're saying with being outsiders in a group of outsiders is a very interesting landscape to play on when you talk about the psyche and interpersonal relationships of characters. And then, of course, Mr. Sinister playing on that. But here, we don't really get that as much. And this book has a lot of action, which should be right up my alley. But I just end up, the art isn't really getting me. I'm not caring about Psylocke. Then her face looking different on multiple pages. Cable feeling out of place. Even X-23 says in the first issue where you're kind of like, yeah, he's out of place. Leave him. He doesn't need to be with us. And it's just weird, man. I don't know. She's talking to X-23. Psylocke is like, she's like, take me to your hell. Elizabeth Braddock was the hero. I was her shell. And it's just like, yeah, okay. And I don't know. Cable looks weird in this. Psylocke's face looks weird in this. It keeps changing. Them going after Apoth is something that I thought would be cooler, but it's not. And unfortunately, I'm not interested, even in with the huge like robotic thing that comes out of the blue. Just not digging it. So, guys, what are you thinking about Dawn of X #2? Some would say that they're dropping like flies. First round, I dropped 2 books. Second round, I've dropped 1 book. But I think these 3 books that I'm sticking with now will be a good core of books that kind of give you the idea of what's going on in their world. X-Men, X-Force, Marauders. Marauders will retain my interest as long as we keep up the mental and verbal gymnastics between Emma and Sebastian. Whether they're cool with each other or not, just having that mental play there. And of course, like knowing that, it could always get physical, because it did. He tried to choke her out. She turned to diamond and stuff. So there's stuff there that I'm digging. X-Men is coming through. John Hickman's still on that book. The art's still killing it. X-Force, there's some political intrigue, some conspiracy stuff going on. I'm loving it. But Fallen Angels is not hitting it for me. Not at all. So, guys, holla at me. I'm going to holla at you. Down in them comments, let's talk Dawn of X. Are you still reading? Are you still interested? What books are you reading? Are you reading all 6? Which, more power to you. Or are you only reading 1? Are you reading 2? Let me know. Because right now, I'm going to stick with X-Men, Marauders, X-Force. Yeah, I think that's going to be my core. Before I bounce, big shout out to Ernest Petit for coming through. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for everyone else that came through. Y'all not chatting, but I see you guys are watching. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up. If you hit that thumbs down, I'm going to send Apocalypse after you. And you don't want that. Dude's big. He got big hands, a big old ball blue head. You don't want that. Also, big shout out to Geek Fine Art behind me. Big shout out to everyone out there that gives so much love and so much life to the channel. Folks like Thought Crowns, folks like Tim I on Patreon, folks like Enrique Carrion on Patreon. Speaking of that, Enrique Carrion, don't forget his comic book Phenomic, which is Phenomik. Phenomic is a dope comic book. It's completely free. You can check it out online. Awesome book. I think you'll dig it. It's got a kind of future throwback vibe, and I'm gonna leave it at that. There's definitely some stuff that he reaches to the past for, reaches for the future for, and I had a lot of fun reading it. A lot of cool action stuff, and the art style is fun too. Also, big shout out to KURO Brand that keeps the lights on, sort of. Usually, I'll probably rock the KURO Brand hat later on in another stream. Also, big shout out to Arcatron that has it has an album coming out, The Space Bridge. Really cool album. I was lucky enough to be on it, but it's still a cool album. And big shout out to folks out there like Blurtish. Much love to them. Awesome podcast. You check them out. So, guys, thank you for hanging. Been love, been life, been light, talking about these crazy mutants and they crazy life. So, before I bounce, I'm going to say thank you for chilling. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, all that good stuff. And for me to you, I'm just saying, peace. Come on. I said peace. What? I said peace. Come on. I said peace. Until the east said peace. Until the west said peace. Actually, this is north. The way I'm sitting, actually, this is north. This is south. So we're going to go to the north. To the south. I said to the west. To the east. Yo, that's how we do. That's how we do. How we do. How we do. How we do. Come on. How we do. How we do. Come on. Peach, come on. How we do. How we do. How we do.